Hey guys, Chris Olka here with another T&E video. This is T&E number 7 for the Eastman EBC836 6/4 C tuba. All right, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to do a different format starting with this T&E number 7. First thing we're going to do is, and you've already seen it, is I want to intersperse playing with talking. So it's not just like talking at the beginning, playing for a long period of time, and then talking at the end. It'll still follow that general basic idea, but it's going to be broken up with playing examples in between when it's pertinent to what I'm talking about as far as general descriptions. And then in the middle, there will be 3 sections, and the 3 sections will be broken down into basics, fundamental drills, scales, etc. That'll be the first section. The second section is going to be orchestral excerpts, and the third section will be solos, etudes, my favorite church hymns. And then at the end, I'll wrap it up with some more, giving my thoughts, as well as I've got some exciting news to share with you guys. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my general impressions of the instrument. That's why I've got my notes here. People want me to constantly compare one instrument to another, brand A to brand B to brand C. And I'm not going to do that in this video. I've said as much in the previous videos. So I'm not going to compare the 836 to other models on the market currently. I am going to make a comparison, though. I'm going to be comparing the 836 model to the 2 CSO Yorks that Gene Picorni is currently using in the Chicago Symphony and were previously owned by the late, great Arnold Jacobs. I've been really lucky over the last few years since moving out to the Midwest, and before that, while I was still in Seattle, to get to play with the Chicago Symphony and visit Gene in Chicago, and I've been able to play on both of the CSO York tubas. Most recently, when I was out in Redlands University with Gene at the Picorni seminar, I was able to spend a good bit of time on the CSO York that he brought, and I was able to compare a number of 836s against one of the original CSO Yorks in a really good acoustic space. And I'll tell you, it's a great tuba. Now listen, the 2 CSO horns that Gene uses in the orchestra, those things, they still have an unmatched tonal character and richness of sound and depth it's really complex, and it's so very interesting and captivating. And I don't think that those they'll ever be fully copied, like a Stradivarius or a Guarneri. I just don't think that we're going to get an exact copy of that. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that the Eastman 836 compares very, very favorably to those 2 original York tubas, and is bringing some special things about its sound that's different than the CSO horns to the table, so to speak. So let's see here. Having said that, having played for a good bit on both the CSO tubas, of all the tubas that are out there right now, the 836 gets me about as close to the 2 CSO horns as I personally feel like I am with my skill set and my ability and my tone concept that I have in my head. The 836s get me as close to the CSO tubas as I've ever been with another tuba. So there's the 836 has great response. It's a fantastic tone and an incredible low register. More on that in a second. Okay, trigger warning. I'm going to talk about tone, and I'm going to use words, descriptors. I'm going to use my own impressions, of words to describe the sound. There's some internet trolls out there that seem to get triggered every time you try to talk about tuba sound using words and picture painting. Too bad. I'm getting ready to. So trigger alert, turn off the video now. What about the sound of the 836? It's beautiful. I mean, it's just a really beautiful sound. It's big. It's huge. It's a massive sound. It's round. It can be aggressive when you want it to be, but it's a round sound. It's dark, quite dark. It's not quite as brilliant as some of the other instruments out there, which is, it's not a value statement. I'm not saying that it's better or worse. It's just darker than most of the tubas out there, which for me, where I'm at in my playing, I really like that darkness, because I tend to bring a natural brightness to my sound, to the tuba, and this tuba knocks some of the rough edges off of it. It's got lots of core. People say, well, you said it has a lot of core, but what is core? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's a lot of pitch definition and a preponderance of low to mid overtones. When I say pitch definition, what I'm meaning, especially on this tube as it relates to the 836 that's unique, when I sit there and play in any register on this tuba with the tuner on stand, I can get a registration and a reading from the tuner immediately. It doesn't hunt or sit there dead and do nothing. It immediately picks up whatever note I'm playing in any register. I could be playing a pedal F, and if I'm close to a pedal, if I'm actually close to in tune, it'll give me a registration, sharp or flat, on either side of it. If I'm playing in the valves, which tend to be murky on a lot of tubas in the low register, it's kind of fishy, you're not sure about what pitch you're playing. On this thing, when I'm playing it, man, I get feedback from that tuner right away. So that's what I mean when I talk about core and pitch definition. The tuba projects. I mean, it has a York-like sound in that it's warm and round. It's omnipresent in a room. You hear the air, you feel the air vibrating. You hear the tuba everywhere. It's not the most directional sound in the world, but this particular model, it projects fantastically. A lot of York-style copies the sound sits. It doesn't go anywhere. It sits on stage and it doesn't make it out into the cheap seats unless you really push it. This tuba projects, it projects all of those fantastic tone qualities out into the space with very little effort. A couple of weeks ago, with Cincinnati Pops Orchestra, we were doing Star Wars. I think it was the original Star Wars movie to the movie on the big screen in front of us. And the brass section, when we play in the Pops here in Cincinnati in Music Hall, they put us all behind the proscenium of the stage. And that's where tuba sound goes to die. It never to be heard again unless you work your butt off. And when I'm behind that proscenium, if I want to get heard out in the house, I really got to push. So we were playing the Star Wars, and my wife went out for one of the shows. She sat in the audience and listened, and she came to me after the concert and said, "You sound fantastic on that tuba. I've never heard more tuba get out into the house than when you're playing on this tuba relative to when you sit in front of the proscenium like we do for the Masterworks concert." She said, it was huge. I had no problem ever hearing you on the loudest dynamics and the softest dynamics. It was coming off the back wall. And so, that could be good or bad, but it definitely projects quite well. The instrument is very responsive. The articulation is clear and easy. And one of the things that I love about the horn the most is it's got an incredible low register. Okay, years ago, I remember hearing Gene describe the low register on the two CSO tubas as being magical. And at that time, I sat there scratching my head because I've owned over a half dozen different York-style instruments over the last 20 plus years. And they all had usable low registers, nothing terrible about them, but not particularly good, and far from what I would characterize as magical. Well, I understand now, because when I played the CSO tubas, the low register is fantastic. It's so easy and so responsive. On the 836 models, every one of them that I've played has had a great low register. I mean, especially around, in the low register in the valves around D and D flat. I mean, it's like a buffet table of low register potential. I mean, there is literally, it's all you can eat down there. Check it out. Did I mention it has a great low register? Let's keep going. It's got a singing middle and upper register. Very secure, very easy to play up there for a large tuba. I mean, it doesn't feel like an F tuba, but it sure feels a lot better than most big tubas up there. Great intonation. It's well above average. It's got the typical York tendencies, which aren't perfect, but it's well above average, and all the notes are easily fixed either by lifting up or down or manipulation of the first, second, or fourth valve slides. So no problems there. The instrument is incredibly efficient. If you do your part, you have a well-formed embouchure, and you're using a quality airstream that's supported, the tuba will give you at least, if not more, sound than you're putting into the tuba. It's a really efficient instrument. I might roll an example here. Okay, as far as construction, they're consistent. I think at this point here in the beginning of October 2018 that they have probably made between 20 and 30 at this point, and I've handled over a dozen at this point, and they all were consistently well constructed, very high quality. These are handmade instruments, and I think they're on par with any of the best handmade instruments around the world. So no problems in that department. I think that's it. Let's get to the playing, and I'll see you at the end to wrap up with my thoughts and more. Try for it. All right, it's time to wrap up. To keep it short, I got to say, I really like this tuba. So much so that this 836 has been my primary large orchestral tuba since the beginning of this season with the Cincinnati Symphony. I borrowed one in June at the Picorni seminar, and at the end of the week, after having been playing it in master class and excerpts and a recital, I knew I had to have one, and I when I finally got mine, I was thrilled. I really can't recommend it enough if you're in the market for a York tuba design in C. This is where it's at, in my opinion. I think this is a really fantastic tuba. I guess what you got to do is you got to try it and see for yourself. The thing is they're not unicorns. You can go out and find one, probably at an Eastman dealer, and try it out, or go to Pomona, California, to where their warehouse is. Maybe schedule something like that. Come to the Midwest, come to Cincinnati, and try mine. I make that offer openly and willingly because I'm really excited about the tuba. I like it for so many different reasons. One of which is that if a student wants to, someone that's studying with me or someone else, if they think they might want one of these tubas, they can go out and get one just like mine, and they can afford it. So, I mean, it means a lot to me that this instrument is now being made available to the public and at such a high quality, but yet such a low price. Like I said, try one for yourself and see. So that's it on the tuba. Now on to the news, so to speak, that I had for you. First thing I wanted to say about why I started the T&E videos in the first place. Late last year, I decided to not be sponsored or affiliated with any musical instrument company for a couple of reasons. The main one being that I wanted to explore the various types of orchestral styles that were out there. Germans, Austrian style, British, and others. All these wonderful orchestral styles that I had been fortunate enough over the last 20 plus years to share the stage with some fantastic brass players from all these different national approaches and national styles of playing. And, it finally, the light dawned on me that if I wanted to keep continuing to grow artistically, I needed to explore those styles and bring them into my skill set so that I could approach various composers from various nationalities with a more authentic style. And that would help me. That challenge would help me grow artistically. And out of necessity, that meant trying the different styles of instruments that were out there that are kind of associated with these different styles. And I didn't want to feel weird about that. I wanted to go out and play the field, as it were, as far as trying and testing instruments at work. So that's why I started the T&E videos to begin with, right from the very beginning. So now, what's the big news? Well, as of last month, I reached out to Eastman Music Company and asked if I could be considered to be added to their artist roster to endorse them. And Ryan Richmond at Eastman graciously accepted my request and invited me to join their roster. So that's big news going forward. I will be representing Eastman Music as a performing artist on the concert stage with the orchestra, as well as in recital and master class. So that's big news for me. I'm really excited what we can do. I did this for a couple of reasons. Number one is this fantastic 836 model that they've released to the market. That's a big part. Number two are the people that I get to work with at Eastman. Whether you're talking about the vice president, Ryan Richmond, who is a fantastic guy and becoming a dear friend of mine. Chuck Kerrigan, their tuba guru, he's a visionary when it comes to tuba product design and development. Don Sade, their skunk works, torch jockey extraordinaire. Everybody, people that work in the office, the people that work, in their finance department, it's a quality organization from the ground up, and all the people that I've met at Eastman have been fantastic. So that was a big reason as well why I wanted to be part of the team. Number three, and this is key, they've committed themselves to developing a comprehensive line of tubas over the next couple of years that really embraces all of the playing styles out there around the world. Let's see here. And I get to be part of that. I mean, that was part of it. It's like, I want to help you guys do that. I get to be a part of that. How exciting is that? I can't tell you. I mean, for me, it's like being a kid in a candy shop. You've probably already seen on social media some of these teaser pictures that we've put out there over the last couple of weeks from Eastman. There's a newly designed 4/4 piston C that has so much potential. I mean, it's going to be a home run, as well as a rotary F tuba that is lights out, one of the best rotary F tubas I've ever played. And that's just beginning. They've already got a fantastic large 4/4 rotary valve B flat tuba that I think, as it stands, it's a great tuba. I think I can help them make it even better. So stay tuned for all of those instruments, and I hope many more going forward. There's a bright future for the Eastman tuba line over the next couple of years, and I hope to be one of the people helping make that happen. Finally, and this is important as well, they've agreed to let me continue doing these T&E videos, which that means a lot to me. They're confident enough that their instruments are of high enough quality that they don't see me doing these T&E videos as a threat. Quite the opposite. They see it as a challenge for them to keep upping their game. So I'll continue to bring these videos. If you like these videos, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you like these videos and you find them helpful, first of all, click like and subscribe. That's the first one. And then the second one is trust me when I say that I'll always give my honest opinion about instruments and products that I review on this channel. And trust that I'm not just shilling. That's on you. You have to decide whether or not you believe me or not, if I'm a shameless shill or not. But I've been honest thus far, and I have no intention of changing that going forward. So regardless of who makes the product or the instrument, I'm going to give it a fair chance in my T&E videos. I think that's it for now. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope that these videos continue to be useful for you, and I look forward to many more in the future. Thanks.